We are learning many things from each one of us. I appreciate all of you and warm welcome, dear Rishad, dear Madonna, dear Joy, dear Joseph Saheb. Hello.
Hello, Nesli.
We
Hello.
are from each other many things. I appreciate all of you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep. Loud and clear.
Yes, loud and clear.
So good. Okay. Okay. And we are talking about exponential growth and leadership. We are learning from each guest and many things from each other. We will learn today many things, but first of all, I will kindly suggest Mr. Yavuz to talk. Then we will start with Rishad. Mr. Yavuz, would you like to share your thoughts with us? Then we will start.
I would just like to thank all of our great volunteer speakers. They are ready to share their experiences and their knowledge, what they have in their hands and in their hearts. I would like to thank all of them. Also, I would like to thank all of our audiences that they are ready to listen and to watch us. We are living in very difficult times. We are losing friends, neighbors, relatives. It is so difficult time. We need to come together as a family. All we need to have to be like one unity. We need to share what we have in our hands to see better world. For this case, I want to thanks to all of them. Thank you very much. Also to Nesli, you have great contributions to create this summit together, and also for Lorraine, she has great contributions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I see Madonna. Hi, dearest Madonna. Warm welcome. And yes, we will wait some guests, but first of all, I see dear Joy. Maybe we can start with you if you are available. Then we can keep going with Rishad because maybe he will join us in a few minutes.
I'm here, Nesli. I'm here. Oh. I can't switch on my video from my side.
Yeah, same with me. Same with me. The host needs to allow permission.
Uh-huh.
You have to turn it on.
So is
okay,
that?
There we go. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
So, dear, we can start with you and dear Joseph Saheb, Youssef. Warm welcome. I appreciate all of you so much.
Likewise, Nesli.
Joy, if you wanted to start with Joy, you're welcome to do that as well, Nesli, as you prefer, whatever you like.
No, I'm fine, Rishad. I'll go after you. I didn't want to be the guinea pig.
Thanks. Very nice to see all of you guys, my LinkedIn fans. And Nesli,
absolutely,
for hosting such a wonderful system as well. I know there's a lot that goes behind the scenes. Yavuz as well. Thank you very much for doing this wonderful event.
Thank you so much.
Right.
We had beginning some technical issues, and also for speaker sites, some of them they have technical issues to come online summit. As we see, this is the first we are experiencing with the NESLIHAN and with our team. It has some difficulties that we don't expect coming in front of us in any second. Thank you so much for your contributions and to support our summit. It is great honor for us for all speakers. Yes.
Thank you. And then we can start with Rishad. And dear, my brother, I learned from you many things. I appreciate you. You always supported me whenever I feel a voice of God. You reached me and you sent some messages like God's voice. That's why I appreciate you so much, and you know this. Thank you for everything you do.
Well,
And
you're very welcome, Nestle. Your humility is always outstanding. As far as I'm concerned, you've done a lot more for me and for everyone on this group than I've done for you. But I appreciate your humility and I receive your compliments as well. Thank you for the incredible support throughout my journey. You've been there from the beginning and recognized me from my 1,000 followers and encouraged me all the way up to 65,000 followers. So I'm very blessed to be to be there, but I couldn't have done it without you and all these other wonderful people on the team as well. So thank you very much, Nestle.
you are welcome. It's my honor. We learn each other.
Absolutely.
We are carrying our hearts, and we will live during our heart's beats. When our hearts stop, our lives will stop.
Yeah.
That's why I appreciate you, because you always encourage us to listen to our hearts.
Yeah.
And you're a heart-centered coach, Zen coach.
Yeah.
And also you are a business leader.
Yeah.
You have impressive experiences and you lead many teams. So that I am curious how you decided to be a coach, especially a Zen coach.
Yeah, that's a very good question. People ask me, how did my company be called Zen Coach in the first place? So, as you know, I've come from a very serious business background. My family, some of them are tuning in, are also very serious business people, and business is in our blood. And making money, which is this weird thing when you think about it, but that's what we do. We make money. But I realized at some particular point that when you make money, you have to do something with it. Otherwise, what's the point? Making money for the sake of making money. It has to be to enjoy your life or to contribute or something like that. It has to move beyond that. And so I continued with my business, but I said the world wasn't making sense before COVID. The world was getting crazy. We see, artificial escalation of economies. We see, inflation and debt and all these other types of things that we never had before. And so for me, I was trying to quantify, how does this world make sense? We have, like right now, the Dow Jones is 30,000 points, right? Which is the highest it's ever been in history. How can that be when we've got an epidemic on our hands, a pandemic in our hands, and we've got 20 million people in the US unemployed? That's just in the US. So if we look at it, things don't make sense. So for me, the reason why I became the life coach and a heart-based leadership coach is I said, in order for the world to make sense, and right now more than ever, is about going within. It's to go into the center of knowledge, and all the great mystics, all the great people who are in tune with ancient cultures know that the heart is the seat of knowledge. And in fact, Aristotle said that the heart has all the knowledge. Avicenna, who we know very well as well, the founding father of modern day medicine as well, spoke about the heart being the most superior of all organs. So in fact, the heart can think, the heart can feel. The heart's magnetic field is 60 times stronger than the brain's, which means that we need to tune into the heart in order for us to make sense of the world that we live in today. And so for me, leaders were all about numbers, and so was I. It's all about pushing numbers, about meeting targets, about basically fueling this industrial machinery. And I said, my heart was feeling empty. My heart was literally getting empty, and the feeling. We can only talk about feeling. And I said, you know what? There has to be more to life than us just pushing numbers and making money. It's more about, let's get heart-centered. Let's tune in with this organ that knows so much. Now science is proving what Aristotle, Avicenna, and all the greats, Lao Tzu, the ancient yogis, all the ancient mystics knew, is that if the heart is out of tune, then the body is out of tune. And if you think about it from a global perspective, right, this whole world is out of tune. I mean, there's no way you can say things make sense out there. So the Sufis say, when things don't make sense out here, go within. So if we go within, things start to tune in. And for me, the heart is the organ that beats, and the beat is controlled by the breath. So if you want to access the heart, we do that through the breath. And when you control your breathing, you know, I start all my, and you've been to some of my group sessions, Nestle, I start all my sessions with deep breathing in order to bring calm, to bring collectiveness. And when I go into a team building session, when corporates get me in, I say, right, guys, put everything down. First thing we're going to do is breathe, because then when we're in tune with our breath, we're in tune with our hearts, and the knowledge can arise from within. And that knowledge that arises from within is always compassionate. It's always empathetic. It's always kind. It's never fear, numbers, you know, panic, and all the rest of it. Right now, we're in a panic pandemic, which is panic has taken over the world, and rightfully so. We're losing people. People are dying, and it's all pretty nasty out there. So how do we make sense out of it all? We can't look at more numbers and more statistics and say, how do we improve this? We've got to go within, and also the world is a reflection of our state of being. So I always say, you get the leader that the people deserve. So if the people want a new leader, then they need to become a new person. And so other countries have got excellent leaders as well. But we need to do the same thing, to look at our lives and say, you know, I always tell people that come and see me for coaching saying, life doesn't make sense. I say, pause and ask yourself, were you going the way you were supposed to go before the pandemic? And do you want to change directions and go another way? In other words, not just about making money, not just about furthering your career, but contributing to the planet around you. And if you can make money and contribute, and this is Steve Jobs, this is Apple, this is Google, and all these types of companies that put their people first. It's not about numbers first. The numbers will always come. They always come. And you know, you guys being Turkish, you know, the Turks are an incredible example on the worldwide stage of resilience, of people that put their people first in so many different ways. And I remember this project, one of my my side projects was the honey project to do with bees. And Turkey was the role model. So Turkey invested $2 million in bee production and honey production, something like 20 years ago. Now they lead the global stage on honey production. And they're now teaching other people all over the world because they said they realized how important bees were to the planet and invested in that. And the other thing is that community that's doing so well in Turkey, and this is the model for the world, is now planting trees. They're planting almond trees, olive groves, in order to sustain communities. And they're self-sustaining communities. Now they're going further out and helping other communities. And that's wonderful. It's not like, it doesn't mean, you know, to be a mystic means to abandon the world. In fact, no, it's to say, let's work in harmony with the world. So my whole coaching is about working in harmony, being in synergy with nature, working together, collaboration. And I talk about this thing called emergence. Emergence is a type of leadership that is not single leader focused. The team come together in order to lead a particular concept or a particular project. You see it in nature. When you get a flock of birds, they're flying and all of a sudden, wish they go in another direction. Now, what caused that direction to happen? Was it one particular person? If you look at a school of fish and they're going around and they see a dolphin coming, how do they move instinctively like that? There's no thinking going on. And this is the developing sign of emergence. And the way that you can develop this absolute connectedness is through our heart center. So when the heart is connected, when our heart, you know how people say, when our hearts are connected, we can do a lot. But if we're just left brain, right brain, left brain, right brain, we're not getting anywhere. We're just getting into the zone of fear, of ego, of numbers. And I believe that and it's not just about love, it's about collaboration, it's about empathy, it's about working together. And Simon Sinek, who I have a lot of respect for, is a wonderful example of this, talking about the compassionate leader, someone that is more concerned about, and leaders eat last, right? It's that they don't eat first, like you, Nestle, and you, Yavuz, you're putting everybody else on the stage. And I don't know if you've had your lunch, but I think you should have your lunch, Nestle.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. What I see, you are putting the heart at the center.
Yes.
We must come from our ancestors or from our tradition.
Yes.
We lost our hearts.
Yes.
As a society, as a human being, as a mankind, each individual. That's why we are totally destroyed in terms of emotions, feelings. We couldn't be able to get test of life. Because as a human being, we need to share, we need to contribute. And this only could be with putting the heart at the center.
Absolutely.
You are right. To get this relationship better and better, so we have to work too hard how to be much more purified way, and how we can add more contribution.
Absolutely.
Of course, it is not easy. It needs to give, to help, to share. But and at the end, like Prophet Abraham said, the happiness is coming to gain and to share what you gain. If you can be able to share, you can get your happiness. But today, we are living much more individualistic side.
Yes.
Just like our superego and a me.
Yeah.
And because of, since we are seeing ourselves like me, we are putting like instead of God. So it is like totally against of our creation.
Absolutely.
Our creation is based on what we love, what we contribute, what we share. Thank you so much contributions to our summit. Just we are looking in this summit to help someone who needs most, because maybe we need most. Maybe we are helping to ourselves when we're trying to help to others.
No, absolutely. You understood it perfectly well. And, you know, being another great example of that is the man who's buried in your blessed city, in your blessed country in Konya, is Jalaluddin Rumi, Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi, who always, it was the only thing that made sense to me. And I'll give you a prime example. If I ask you, where are you? Everyone would say, here. Nobody says, I'm here, right? Because your identity is actually here. Your heart is your identity. Yes, we walk around saying, who are you? Oh, I'm Rishad. No, you're here. This is who you are. And you know, in the Turkish tradition, everybody who's in Ertugrul can attest to this, right? Hey, well, right, it was here, right? Because that's where it is. It's never, there's no culture where the guy goes, you know, I'm Rishad. No, it's always, you know, and so the heart has always been. And when we use an example, we say, we learn something by heart. What does that mean? We learn something by heart. Where are you learning it? Because actually, every single knowledge that you ever want to encounter is stored in your heart. And for me, some of my fans call me the key maker, because for me it's about opening up the heart in order for us to produce this magic to change the planet. And we're not talking about sort of just eating vegetable food, which is great. I love vegetables, but it's about actually taking our economies, and you mentioned it so nicely, it's against nature. So in Latin, they say contra naturam, which is everything that's against nature, and growth that is not in any way measurable and sustainable, like we see the Dow Jones and all these other stock markets exponentially increasing, but there's no basis. Since your event is about exponential growth, the exponential growth has to be built upon a solid foundation, and that solid foundation is people before profits. And if you can work with that, then you can build something that is sustainable for life. And one of the examples about the Japanese is the Japanese through the COVID, they've managed to sustain themselves so well. It's because they've built a solid foundation that's built on higher principles. It wasn't, let's see how much money we can make, and then, you know, exit when we saw 2008, when everybody just wanted to bail out. And if we can bring this new exponential growth to modern day economies and finance, YOUSSEF and Nestle, in what you're doing, I'm all for it, and your greatest supporter. So thank you. I don't want to take up too much of the other guests as well, waiting to speak.
All we are family. There is no differences between us. Some of our friends from Canada, France, United States, China. Just we need to understand in this world, we are together. Yeah. If we can move better and better together, we can create better future for our kids, for our next generation. Definitely. Because at the end of the day, nothing will be stay with us. Just what legacy we have, we can go with it. Thank you very much for your explanation. Heart-centered organization. I didn't hear before. This is very good metaphor to use inside the company for many business people. I think it will be contribute to them. Because when you put heart at the center of organization, you can create relationship better. You can create your environment better. If you family life, and which we forget to our values, you can bring it back. Because when you share, when you put the love at the center of anything, anything can change. Even a stone can change. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Very welcome. Very welcome. Thank you.
And you're Rumi lovers. We are Rumi lovers. We are Sufi believers also with you, Rishad.
Yeah.
There are many Sufi believers, Sufi lovers also. For LinkedIn, we met. And I wanted to ask you, you have many tools you suggest people. You are making some free coaching sessions to control our breath, to meet with our inner wisdom, inner
Yeah.
being. So, as leaders, as youth, and all human beings, what do you suggest us to be better human and to live better in our lives with your experiences and with your suggestions? I wanted to ask your opinions, your thoughts.
Okay, well, I definitely, as you know, you've attended some of my, I'm offering right now during the COVID time, free coaching sessions. So I'm offering anyone that wants to join. We do it via Google Meet every Saturday, and we didn't do it this Saturday because we were honored to receive your invite, but there's over 20 people every Saturday. I teach you how to get into a state of stillness, how to watch your breath, and how to gain into your intuition. And then from there, then you decide. So for me, I don't come in with the answers. So an organization would call me up saying, can you help us? I say, I can't help you solve your problem, but I can help you how to find that problem within yourself. So it's what I do is suggestion, tuning your heart and tuning your heart, or we call it heart-brain coherence, which means that your brain and your heart, you know how some people say, there's a part of me that doesn't want to do it and another part of me that does. That's a contradiction between what your heart wants to do and what your brain wants to do. And you can get the two aligned, which means that get your organization aligned with the heart and get the planet aligned with the heart, then what you're going to say will naturally flow in that particular way. So for me, my suggestion is, and I don't have all the answers, but I know the answers are not out there because we've tried that. And if we look at how we come to conclusions, it's flawed. So I investigated this, I looked into it. If we look at modern day scientific inquiry, it started with Sir Isaac Newton 300 years ago. And that's how we've come to the conclusion about our lives. But that's not how our hearts decide. You know how you just say, my heart's not in it? Because it's not in it. And you can put all the facts on the table, you know? So my brother is the spreadsheet guy. He takes the spreadsheet out and he says, I want to buy this car, Toyota Corolla, 4 seats, got the room for the family or whatever. And for me, I'm like, just buy the Mercedes. He's like, no, but Rishad, you're not being rational and common sense. Right? I said, but rational and common sense never got me anywhere, right? So if it's not impractical, I'll drive the Mercedes-Benz. So you have to go beyond this. Just one last example of my blessed mother, may she rest in peace in heaven. I had almost no money and I was in a very tough situation here in Cape Town. And I called her up and I said, Mom, there's one house that the rent is 6,000 and the other house, the rent is 6,500, but I don't know which one to take. She says, which one do you like? I said, the one for 6,500. She says, do you have the money to pay 6,000? I said, no. She said, then take the one for 6,500. I said, where's your logic in this? Where's your logic? She said, go with your heart. You can't afford the one for 6,000. Take the one for 6,500. So you see, on a practical level, it doesn't make sense. But you know what? It was the best decision I ever made. And guess what? I found more than 6,500 to pay the bill. So I'm so glad I listened to Mom. So guys, your mom knows that intuition of a woman, when she tells you something, listen to it because Mom knows best. So Leslie, I'm going to leave it there for the rest of our wonderful guests to and hosts to share their wisdom as well. Some great people on here as well.
Rishad, I have a quick question.
Yes.
I'm very curious about when you actually realize you're moving from coaching to transformation of business and transforming people. When did you start feeling that?
When my life didn't make sense anymore, and it's a very good question. So I've been a mentor, you know, and an investor, and you know, helping small companies to get to the particular point. And my life was not making sense because I would sit the people down and say, right, guys, are we making money here? how much, what's the numbers? And I said, you know what? Like being in sales, they say KPIs kill people. So when you just about hitting that KPI, hitting that next number, your life starts getting empty. And I said, so I had to go through a personal crisis, as they call it, a dark night of the soul, where I had to question my own reason to live. Joy and Yusuf, we've both had conversations with the two of you, blessed human beings, and they've been on the same kind of journey. You hit that point when you're very lucky that God, the universe, whatever, put your head against a brick wall, and either a major illness, relationship breaking down, or losing a job, and you say, life doesn't make sense. And I say, now is when you come talk to me, because you know what? Life never made sense. Because everything was working, you thought life made sense. But when God put you against the brick wall, you're like, well, and I'm going to tell you, that's not what life is about. Life is about something else. And so, yes, there was that point a few years ago, and I was very blessed to meet a coach of my own who managed to let me see, because I said, listen, I'm the motivational guy. I've read every book on personal transformation. I know everything. Yet I didn't. And he said, okay, good. You know everything. Let's go through the process. And I was like, my God, couldn't sleep at night, unhappy, grumpy, angry, all that wonderful thing that all our corporate people get. And so you asked, excellent question. And that's the real reason. The dark night of the soul is what led me to this business, the business of the soul.
So you start with your self-transformation with great people that actually helped you start transforming businesses and other people. Thank you so much. It's really inspirational. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for the time as well. I appreciate it. Thank you to the rest of the hosts as well.
And I want to ask also a question regarding with our future generations. Would you please share your thoughts with us how to find solutions to leave an impressive legacy for future generations, and what do you suggest them to be better human beings, to, especially nowadays we are living in a lockdown environment, how they can be more motivated in that. It is not only for future generations, but also for all of us.
Yeah. All right. Well, if the other people will allow me, I'll be brief. So when lockdown happened, I said, this is God giving us a retreat. When you book yourself on a yoga retreat and you go to India and you spend 7 days doing nothing but eating healthy food and taking in fresh air and asking yourself, what am I doing here on the planet? I said, this is God saying, all of you are going on retreat. Nobody's an exception. All of you. And it's like the whole world. Yes, the whole world is locked down in their own homes, right? Because so one of my clients is a top-notch investment banker, and he lost his job, and he said, my wife can't stand me because she's just seeing me at home all the time. I gotta leave. And I said, you know what? I'm so glad this happened now. Then when you went into retirement, thinking that you're going to retire to this, your whole family was collapsing while 20 years you were flying all over the world being a corporate banker, right? You didn't look at your wife and your children. Now your child is 22, and you're like, who is this chap? That's your child, right? So now you'll find problems have gone up. You can't get along with your people. I know my daughters, I've got 4 daughters, and I'm like, you guys can get really irritating, because I'm always on the road, right? Let's be honest. And then I said, okay, Rishad, you're not going anywhere. You can't go anywhere. So stay here. And you know what? I developed these tools, and that's why I provided the free coaching. So I'm saying for future generations, guys, right now, I believe this is the start of 2 things. One, a major change in how we do things in the world today. But number 2, there is on the opposing side, a universal rising in consciousness, which means that if you look at the amount of gurus, Sufis, mystics, people like Eckhart Tolle, people like Rupert Spira, who I've encountered recently, there is, and of course in Turkey I absolutely adore for the history and all the culture, the Chinese culture. We got to go back to our roots, connect to our hearts, and connect to our breath, and don't try to make sense of this craziness out there, because it never did, right? You have to go within. So I'm saying to the future generations, let's see if we can rise in consciousness so that we don't keep on repeating the same patterns, the same pain, the same agony. You must remember that the modern day economy, the US economy, we're talking about 200-300 years. We're not talking about life. I mean, life has been on the planet for, you know, humans have been around, Homo sapiens in their form for 350 million years, right? 350,000 years, excuse me. There's big numbers. So life has changed dramatically, but in the modern day economy of the US dollar, the Turkish lira, and all the rest of it, this is not life. Life is about those simple things, your family, your friends, your God, your soul. And those things we have to go back. And I'm not talking about religion. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we need to become good Christians, good Buddhists, good Muslims. That's up to you. But I'm saying we've got to become human again, connect to our humanness through our heart center. And all religions that are divinely inspired say the same thing. So go back to your soul and ask yourself one question. If life is happening in my favor, as Rumi so beautifully says, he says, life is rigged in your favor. So if I say that I'm being born in this time with this madness, it means that I'm here for a particular purpose. There is no randomness in the universe. You don't just get born by some act of some accident that happened. Why am I here? What am I supposed to contribute? And all these wonderful leaders here can attest to the same thing. What is my contribution on the planet? Because after you pay the bills, pay your mortgage, raise the family, what else is there? So I'm saying the sooner you can ask the question, the sooner you can start living from your heart rather than expectations. Is that all right, Leslie?
Yes, yes. Thank you, dear Rishad.
Thank you.
Many of my friends don't know yet Lorraine. And Lorraine has wonderful heart and caring person, especially job seekers and HR people. And maybe Lorraine can ask also a question to Rishad. Maybe then Rishad will leave because he has an urgency. Just wanted to introduce Lorraine, all of you.
Hi, Lorraine.
So glad meeting with her.
Nice
Yes.
to meet you, Lorraine.
So do we have time for one more question, or is it time for you to?
I can do one more question. I'm just concerned about my other wonderful guest as well. But yeah, it's fine. I definitely, if the rest of the guests don't mind, I'm definitely able to answer another one. My
Thank
pleasure.
you very much. It's just what would be your first advice to the people, to the members of our audience who have lost their jobs or their business is not going well at the moment? How can they keep going and keep reaching to their next right move?
That's a very good question. Thank you for the question. I faced the same thing myself. So my coaching business was going quite well, and then COVID hit. So if you think about it, are people going to spend money on furnishing their house or keeping money for the rent because nobody knows what to do, or spending money on the coaching? And I said, what am I going to do with my life? So I went into my heart. I looked online, looked at what people were saying, and then I said, there's this wonderful thing that the Sufis say. He said, when something's not working, do the opposite. So I'm not going to give you rational advice here because there isn't irrational advice. So the irrational, the sole thing to do is, I found a business coach that I looked at, and he made a lot of sense. He says, in this time, it's not the time so this is business people advice. It's not the time for expansion. This is the time to consolidate, to maintain your existing customers, increase relationships, make sure that when they have money again, you're the first person that they're going to call. So it's about establishing relationships. But the most profound advice he gave that blew me away and really aligned with my heart, he said, give, and give so much that it hurts. And I said, but that's crazy, because right now we're like holding on to everything, and we know, and it doesn't make any sense. But when you give, you get. And so for me, it was then, I said, free coaching, free advice. I increased the amount of, because I do one day a week of free coaching, 2 days a week of free coaching. And I don't care now, what am I going to do? Because if I keep on holding on to the ship, so, Eckhart Tolle says that resisting life is one of the most mad things you can do, because can you resist life? So life has thrown you with this thing. Now you have two choices. One, you let go and let's see where the stream takes you. Or two, I'm holding on, but you can't resist life. Life will happen whether you want it or not. So that was my advice for business people. And you know what? Those people that ended up coming to the free coaching, I had a 70% sign up rate. So, I mean, I can't even explain that. It blew my mind. So you know, by doing that, it paid more dividends than me sort of holding on and saying, well, I'm not doing any free coaching. And, you know, it helped. And, you know, this is another proof of it. So this is one advice that you may use, but, you know, I don't know. I don't have all the answers. Listen to your heart, tune into that. For job seekers that have lost their jobs, there is no other opportune time now than to discover other things that you can do. Recessions and depressions are the times that make the most millionaires. Go look at the US during the Great Depression, look at the UK as well. It's not doom and gloom, it's about perspective. So if you look at it, you wanted to start your own business. Look at the online world. I mean, it's incredible opportunities. If it wasn't for online, as much as I don't like social media, look what's happening right here. This would never have happened any other way, right? And I didn't have to travel from Cape Town all the way to Istanbul or Malaysia or all the rest of it. So there's wonderful opportunities for you. But here's the last thing I'll end with. If you're trying to evaluate your opportunities and what you should do next from a level of fear, you're going to make the wrong decision. If there's a tiger chasing you and you say, what should I eat for dinner? You know, should I have salad or should I have steak? You say, I got no time for this. There's a tiger chasing me. So first of all, put yourself in a safe environment, close the doors, tune into your breath, listen to some music, and then take the piece of paper and out, write down the thoughts that you're feeling. And from a very high place, then start knowing that the life is working in your favor, then come up with an idea and a plan. And you don't have to know, as Rumi says so beautifully, when you take the first step, the path becomes clear. Don't go plan another 50 years of strategy. Take this first step from your heart and let the path disclose itself, knowing that you trust in the universe. You don't have any choice, because if you don't trust in the universe, you live with fear and anxiety. And if you just let go, as the Chinese say, flow like water. Water gets through everything eventually, right? Lorraine?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for the great question.
And thank you, dear Rishad, for being with us. I know even if you are so busy, you accepted my invitation. It's an honor for me to meet with you, to learn from you.
Thank you for all the guests for waiting as well. I appreciate that. And I will see all of you on LinkedIn. Have a wonderful rest of your seminar as well.
Thank you. Take care of you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And we are keep going with dear Joy. Warm welcome again. I love your name so much. You bring joy to us.
Thank you, Nestle. And Yavuz, it's a pleasure to be here. I think after the last 45 or 40 odd minutes of Brother Rishad, thank you for giving me the opportunity to follow him, because that man, that brother just spoke everything. I'm now literally thinking on my feet, which you can't see. And the reason for that is I'm going to shut my video for a minute, not a minute, just for 5 seconds, and then I'll come back. So you'll know, please see what's on my screensaver. In case you all got that. Brother Rishad ended with the alignment of the brain and the heart, and for the individual human being to approach from the heart. Yeah. What I'm bringing out, and it's been a 3-year journey, and he's right. He's absolutely right. It's, I don't think I've become a butterfly, and probably I might not, as you can see over here, but it's a 3-year journey that has led me to believe, after a 32-year corporate career, business has changed and is changing and has to change. It's not, for 90 years, we've done this logical, analytical, rational, commonsensical business growth. And I'm bringing something else to this table, because we talk exponential growth. Exponential growth does not happen until and unless you have growth spurts. So let me explain that for a quick minute, and I'll tie it back. If you look at children, those of us who are parents, who've had children from a newborn, the first 3 to 5 years, there are certain periods when a child grows literally exponentially in terms of brain and physical development.
Yes.
Business and human being is exactly the same thing. And why I agree with Brother Rishad that this scenario we are in, this pandemic, of course, if you want to give in to the chaos that is all around, the death that is occurring, the unknown that is creating stress, all of that is there. You can allow yourself to go into a downward spiral. But just pause. That's what it's done, right? It's locked us in. It's made us pause. It's made us revalue our priorities. And I'm not going to delve into that. But when you revalue that and you're coming out today,
Yes.
our behavior as an individual has changed. And this is where, as a marketing consultant, I've done corporate strategy and strategic marketing for 32.5 years of my life across 4 countries, and I've 8 industries. Today, I see that marketing and strategy, both business strategy and marketing, does not work if you come from a product perspective, if you come from a technology perspective, if you come from a price point. All of these are playing to the other person's rules. You've got to come from the perspective of people and a business. What is exponential strategy if there's no YAVUZ, there's no Nestle? What is it? It's nothing. It's just a name. It's in any business, that 2 words, human resource. For 90 years, we've been labeled as a resource. We are part of the IT. We are part of fixed assets. We are part of investment. But actually, there's a little bit more. And this is where it connects to Brother Rishad's individual heart. People are emotional creatures. For 350,000, we've existed from the time we couldn't speak and we used to draw in caves to right now where we are communicating via AI. AI gives you speech recognition, right? People feel first, then rationalize. When they feel first, they're already taking action. And this is where I'm bringing in to my clients and to the circle that I impact to say, humanize your business. When you humanize your business, when you bring your people to the front, your employees and your customers, you'll suddenly find a common, if you look at it from that perspective, you'll find a convergence point, a point where 2 things come up as common denominators: hopes and aspirations. Out of the 7 billion people in this world, irrespective of where we are by whatever parameters, we could be rich, poor, millionaire, billionaire, on the internet, below the poverty line, doesn't matter. But every single living human being will have hope. Hope is what keeps us going from day to day, time to time. And each one of us has aspirations, irrespective whether we are 7 years old, 10 years old, 30 years old, 50 years old, 90 years old. We are always hopeful and we are optimistic because our hope comes from our heart. Our heart is the one that is in sync with the universal energy, which always says tomorrow's better. Give it one more try. So pull this all back together. What COVID's done is COVID has made the world, and I look at the commercial world. I'm not a coach. I'm not a business mentor. I focus purely on commercials for a business. But today when a business comes, a client comes to me and says, I want to grow by 27%, 30%. I said, thank you very much. You're talking to the wrong guy. You want to grow at a certain percentage, which we will have to figure out. I don't know if the percentage is right. I'm not looking at your Excel. I'm looking at your people, but we will work together for 16 weeks. We will build, operate, and I'll transfer the process to you. And then you see how sustainable it is. You look at your people, you build a community where your employees become your brand ambassadors / advocates. You don't pay $5 million to the next celebrity to talk about your brand because it does nothing. Nobody believes in it. I'm sorry. I'm a marketing guy. I'm saying it live. It's my own version from the data that I have. So when an employee talks, Lorraine sitting far away looks at Joy speaking on behalf of humanizing business and say, hey, he's working there. Hey, he's doing this work. He's writing the strategy and he's tweeting, today XYZ happened with HB. Hey, that makes sense. I want to have a word with him. Stage 2, intention of engagement happens. A conversation takes place. Stage 3, make that relationship stronger. Create that conversation to give value to Lorraine. You don't look at, hey, I want Lorraine to buy me, give me my $6,000 process fee and boom, I'm gone. That's a transaction. You're going to run out of breath and you're not going to be able to get your company to scale because you're going to be constantly firefighting to get your numbers. On the other hand, you go back to the old Pareto principle. Look at 20% of your clients, grow those clients, nurture those clients, just like, ladies, pardon me, might be a wrong analogy. When you are pregnant, you nurture the baby for 9 months before the baby is born. And then you nurture your child as a parent for 20 years or 18 years before the child leaves the nest. The same thing today operates in business. You nurture your clients through your employees. Everything else are tools, technology, platforms, communication. Everything else is tools. And this is where leadership comes into play. After 32 years in corporate across industries, we are not going to become a communal leadership structure. That's still a little bit away. We are still top down. So how the leader engages, appreciates, recognizes, and to use my brother Saheb's words, how the leader cares, and he'll explain it when he talks about care as an acronym, becomes what you do as the number 2. And slowly, when you see somebody doing something, you repeat. Think back to the parental home model. Our children model us. There are a lot of literature available to say why a father figure is very important, why a mother figure is very important,